In the past, when it was just the studio, just working on the game, and everything else is handled as ancillary projects or licensed or sort of merchandised goods, the easiest thing to do, and we would help craft these stories. They would be then just go off and make these extraneous Halo stories. But with novels and comic books and even action figures, we would hand off basic premises, and then we'd work to make sure that they were correct, and sometimes really closely, sometimes at a distance. But we would tend to put other pieces of fiction in bubbles so that they weren't having an impact, either a production impact or a canonical impact on the mainline game universe. Now, that was nice and safe, and you can see that Halo Wars almost literally happens in a bubble. It happens in a shield world. It's cut off from everything else. And that's a good metaphor for how we used to deal with that problem. Of course, the problem there is that the other pieces of your universe then start to feel disposable. And they're also not helping you do world building in an appropriately usable way. So there might be some detail and color that you can take from those extended pieces of the franchise, but you can't directly involve those storylines, and you can't have them cross over or intersect in meaningful ways. We decided about 3.5 years ago that we were just going to take the riskier, more difficult proposition, which was we will make sure that everything counts. And so you won't have to consume all this new stuff to understand a Halo game. Likewise, you won't even have to play a Halo game to understand how the novels work. But they will all feed each other and create these notes of resonance that, for people who are exploring all of the fiction and all of its various guises, that they will get a really significantly more resonant experience than they would have in the past. But we have to be really careful that we're also being true to each of those pieces, so that each of those pieces works as a standalone piece of fiction and works on its own merits, and that this isn't some giant puzzle that you have to put together to understand a story. One of the criticisms we've had in the past on Halo stories is they're too baroque, too complicated, and they're very assumptive about what people do and don't know. We eschew that completely, and we're going to make sure that each of our mainline games and each of our standalone fiction pieces works as a singular entity and is satisfying on its own merits.